everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial using the new NYX Steam palette, and I think that this is from a collection that NYX recently did called the Machinist collection, and then they have 3 individual eyeshadow palettes as well as some other face products and just eye products that are not palettes, but like I know they had a couple of duos, and I want to say they maybe had a couple of blushes as well, but this is actually all I picked up from the collection. As I mentioned in the haul video that I actually got it for, this originally retailed for $25, and that's pretty pricey for NYX, and I want to say it came out maybe mid to late September, maybe early September, but it definitely hasn't been out for very long, and I was able to pick it up at Ulta for 50% off, so it was $12.50 when I picked it up. I mentioned then, and I'll say it again, it's very quick for NYX to already be discounting the product, so I'm not really sure what their motivation was there, if they, didn't think it did very well, so they just kind of wanted to sell out, or if it was just very limited edition and, when the Halloween season was done, they just wanted to be out of the product. So I'm not really sure of their motives there, but I definitely thought that was interesting. But I'm going to do a look with this palette. These are what the colors look like. So you've got a nice variety as far as colors, but you also have a nice variety as far as the finish. So there are a couple of mattes in here, a couple of more metallic shades, and shimmery shades, so definitely some pretty shades. I'm leaning more towards a neutral look with this, but we'll see where we land. I've used this a couple of times just on a personal level, on a day-to-day basis, and the colors have been okay, but we'll kind of just get into that a bit further once we get on with the tutorial. So to start, I'm going to prime my lids using the Wet n Wild Photo Focus eyeshadow primer. Next, I'm going to start off by taking this shade right there. It's a little bit of a deeper brown. Actually, oh goodness, which one? Actually, I'll take this guy here. It's a lighter brown. It's got a little bit of shimmer to it, but not too much, and I think that'll just be a better shade for the crease. One thing that I will say about this palette is it does come with a very nice mirror, and the mirror stands up on its own, and I really like when palettes do that because I feel like, you can really use it while you're doing your makeup. Like if you set it down, you can still see yourself if you're, wanting to use both hands, or if you just don't want to hold in one hand your mirror and the other hand the product. Sometimes it's just easier to not do that. So I feel like this is very travel friendly for that reason, as well as just being a great day-to-day if you don't have a whole desk area where you put your makeup on. I feel like this is a really great option. I wish that more palettes would do this. I remember when X Sparkage had talked about that before, and she said that the palettes needed palette Viagra because if they stay up on their own, like that's just more desirable than one that just is kind of flimsy and doesn't really hold itself up. So I'm just using a fluffy crease brush, and this is just going right in the crease. This is a brush from NYX Cosmetics, but any brush will do. And this is blending out, really nicely. It's very pigmented, and this shade in particular doesn't have too much fallout, so that's really nice. On a flatter shadow brush. This is an e.l.f. eyeshadow C brush. I'm just going to take this shade right next to it. It's a shimmery, it's like a brownie shade, but it definitely has undertones of pink and like goldeny shimmer to it. So I really like this. I think it's a super unique shade, and it's just going to go on the outer half of the lid. It's like almost like a plum, but with pinkier undertones. I don't know, I think it's very pretty. Then on another flatter eyeshadow brush, this is one from, oh, it just says eyeshadow brush from, oh gosh, this is the brand I can never read because it's cursive. But it's just a flat shadow brush. I'm going to take the shade right above it, and it's more of a metallic-y toned pinky shade. It's very, very pretty though. And that is just going to go on the inner half of the lid. This shade is a little bit, there's a little bit more fallout with it. It's a little bit patchier, but you can work with it. You just have to build it and work with it a little bit more than maybe some of the other shades in the palette. I do like it though. I do think that the color is really nice. And I think that those two shades complement each other. And I think this shade and the more like peachy toned corally shade in this palette also complement each other really nicely. I think this could be a really pretty shade too if you maybe used it wet instead of just going in dry. So I'm just kind of building and building. Like I've told you guys before, I would much rather, you know, build up to a color that I'm comfortable with versus putting way too much on initially and kind of have to tone it back down. So that's just kind of what I'm doing. And I'm going over where the two colors meet too, just to get a better gradient. Okay, so this is something with the palette. I don't know if you guys can see this very well, but like right here and right here, I have highlight on, so I'm sorry if that's what it looks like, but you can definitely see that there's some fallout there. So I do have to sweep away the fallout. I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. And I'm just using a big fluffy brush. But this is a palette that I have, and I should have remembered this, but I have had to make sure that I am careful with the base that I put on, and maybe don't put on a base before you use this palette. Do your eyes first and then go in with your foundation, because I mean, I'm definitely gonna have to clean up because it's just, it's too much right there. So kind of a con, even though as you guys can tell, I definitely tapped off the excess every single time that I have put on an eyeshadow. So that's definitely an aspect that I'm not in love with this palette for, but you know, just kind of moving along. I think I'm going to take this purple shade right here, and I'm going to take, let's see here, I'm going to take an angled blending brush and just kind of put this in the outer third of the crease. This is a shade that I feel like you really have to dig into to get any sort of color payoff. And even when you do, it doesn't look exactly like it does in the pan. So it does kind of leave something to be desired in that respect, but it's not the worst, but it's definitely not the best purple in the world. And purples, I love to work with purples, so that's definitely a bit of a letdown. And I'm just going to go in with that original original blending brush that I had used for the crease, and I'm going in with that same original crease shade and just kind of blending the two together. I will say that when you're doing like this look, I think it's starting to get a little muddy. I don't know if I love that. Maybe I can clean it up a little bit on the outer corners, but I don't love it. I don't love that the way that this look is turning out. And I'm not doing, as far as technique goes, I'm not doing anything differently than I would normally be doing, so that's kind of a turn off. Let me just take a regular pencil brush, and I'm just going to go back into that purple shade with this, and this is going to go on the lower lash line. And I'm just kind of going to connect it to the purple that's in the crease. This is just a pencil brush from Morphe, just so you guys know. Okay. I'm well, let me go ahead back into this shimmery pink shade, and I'm gonna go in with it wet and see, and put it on the exact same place and see if that might make a little bit of a difference with the color payoff. Okay, yeah, I do like that better. Definitely more of a foiled metallic look to it. Okay, it just got super dark all of a sudden. This weekend has been super, super rainy. So, and I think I heard thunder too, so that's always fun. I definitely like that better, but still not super in love with the look. I don't know, I just think that these didn't blend, this purple didn't blend very well with this crease shade. And that's definitely something that I've, done in the past, and I think it's, but, let's wait till the finished look. I'm going to take a black eyeliner. This is Urban Decay's Glide On 24/7 pencil in the shade 0, and I'm going to put that on my waterline. And then on my upper lash line, I am going to use my let's use this. This is my Kat Von D tattoo liner in the shade Trooper. I'm going to put this on my upper lash line. Oh, it's super dark. Okay, I'm going to try and finish this super quickly. This is, gosh. Ugh, both of these lightings are going to suck. Okay, so there was a crazy storm that prevented me from really moving forward because I work with natural light, and when there's crazy storms that hail comes along with, it's super dark outside, so alas, yes, here we are. I finished the look using my NYX Cosmetics mascara, and that was really all that I did that y'all didn't see. So this is the final look. I went ahead and reapplied some foundation underneath my eyes as well to get rid of all of the fallout that did occur. But overall, I'm not incredibly impressed. I don't think these eyeshadows are bad. Let me go ahead and just swatch some. So let's do the purple, the teal, let's do this coral, and let's do 2 shades that I used. Okay, so teal, purple, coral, and that first shade. Okay, so here are some swatched for you. I don't think that they're bad by any means. I think that they're a little patchy, and I think that they could have better pigmentation and better color payoff. But I don't hate them, I just don't love them. Here's my biggest issue with this palette. Let me get this off my hand now, because I'll get it everywhere if I don't. My biggest issue with this palette is that it was originally marketed at $25, and I think that's a pretty hefty price for a palette, I think that if it's a $25 palette, then it should do what $25 worth of eyeshadows should do. So I think that they shouldn't be patchy. I think that they should blend super easily. I think that the fallout should be to a minimum. I think that the colors should be pretty pigmented on their own. And yeah, I mean, I know that that's a lot to ask, but I think that when you're spending $25 on something, you should expect, pretty good payoff. And I don't think that these eyeshadows did that for me. I think that for a $12.50 palette that I paid for it, 50% off, I think that, these were up to speed. I think that the mattes are decent. Like this is the matte white. Like, it's okay. Like, that's the matte white. It didn't really, there's not a lot to it. This is a matte brown. Again, not a lot to that. And that's what that one, that boy right there, that's that one. Like, I mean, overall, I'm not incredibly impressed. Will I use it again? Probably. Will I gravitate towards it on a day-to-day basis? No. So I don't love it. I just don't hate it. I don't think it's worth $25. And really, I think that there are even better options out there that fall into that $12.50 range. So if you're looking for a less expensive palette, I think that there are even better options than this. I do think that the packaging is nice. It's sleek packaging. I like the little, pictures that they've got on the front, because it's something that some palettes just don't have. They've got like an empty front. but as a whole, I'm not super impressed. So that's just kind of my 2 cents though. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have completely differing opinions, leave those in the comments below because I would love to hear them. So yeah, that's just what I think. Take it with a grain of salt. And do with it what you will. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up before you leave. Hit that subscribe button before you go to stay up to date on all of my latest content, and I will see you guys next time.